Shalom, shalom. First and foremost, giving all praises, honor, glory, and worship unto Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Chakodash. Double honors unto the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone. Salutations unto you, Achim, upholding testimony of our Lord and Savior Yahweh Shai in truth and sincerity. We still at it. The Lord still has preserved His Spirit within us. And for that, we're grateful. And so, indeed, we must prophesy. And not only prophesy, but exhort, teach, making full proof of our ministry. This is our occupation. And that's why you see the man of Great Millstone. I'm about to get into the lesson, but that's why you see the man of Great Millstone. It's like, dang, they just refuse to lose. Why will they not stop? Because it's not in them to stop. The standard for us is go. And we're grateful to have that spirit to be able to keep up. And we hope the Lord to continue to sustain us. That's just a quick little rant. Let's see here. So this will be entitled Testosterone and Its Importance in the Ministry. Now, I'm probably going to do a part, I will do a part 2 of going into the actual essence of testosterone and the testes and testicular functions and the anatomy. I'm going to dig into that, but I'm not going to dig too much into that in this lesson. It's going to be on a different tip, if I may, and it'll be it'll be elaborated, may I say, throughout the lesson. So the lesson will speak for itself. So the term testimony, right? Because let's just jump into some scriptures. Why not? We're going to jump into some scriptures. It's Rev 19, I believe. So I could be mistaken. What is that? Yep. That's it. This is the book of Revelations, chapter 19 and verse 10. And I fell at his feet to worship him. And this is John the Revelator, John the Divine, Yahochanan the Divine, fell at the feet of the angel that was sent to him. That is what just took place. That's the context. It says, and he said unto me, see thou do it not. Right, because the only ones that are worthy of true worship is Yahweh Shai and Yahweh. That's why the angel said, listen, man, see thou doest not. Is it? It says, you imagine the angel talking to John, conversing with him. But it says, I am thy fellow servant and of thy brethren that have the testimony of Yahweh Shai. The testimony of Yahweh Shai. Worship God. For the testimony of Yahweh Shai is the spirit of prophecy. That's his testimony. That's the testimony of Yahweh Shai. The angel just told you, right? We told John, you should have listened to John. It's the spirit of prophecy. So, a characteristic of a characteristic of a man of the Lord, a characteristic of a prophet is one who prophesies, not who telling women they need to stop wearing pants and telling people how black the Messiah is all goddamn day. That's not the testimony of Yahweh Shai. He didn't die for you to just rant about how black the Messiah is every day. This ABC rudimentary lecturing. He died so you can have this testimony. And his testimony is the spirit of prophecy. And that's why these same guys who run about the black garbage all the goddamn day, they never go into the MOTB. And they definitely don't break it down properly. They don't go into the chai stigma. They don't do that. They do not do that. They don't tell you. They don't got the wisdom to tell you the number and the name. They don't do that. They don't go into the Choragma. They don't go into Chorox. They don't go into the Grapho. IUIC don't do it. And the other guys don't either. Why? Well, why is that? Well, that's because they don't have the spirit of prophecy. Let's go ahead and all right, so you started off with a precept because that's just what the Spirit, told us to do. But it says testimony, etymology, testimony, which means proof or demonstration of some fact. Ooh, goodness. It says evidence, piece of evidence. And what are the evidence? What's the physical evidence? The testicles. But you have to have testicular fortitude in your spirit. Your loins have to be girded in your heart. You got to put on the mind of Abraham. That's why they say, oh, he got, they might say, oh, he got big balls because he do something. Well, yeah, the elect do have big testicles, but it's of the spirit. Because guess what? The spirit indeed quickeneth, the flesh profit of nothing. So it's not about, your physical. What your physical testicles are important. We're gonna get into that in part 2. And your testosterone. We're gonna get into that in another lesson. But that's, oh my goodness, that's rudiment. That's primitive. It's not. It's deeper than that. That's deep. That's important. That's a part of it. But it's about the mind. It's a mindset. It's a mindset. Because when you go into it, the testes, all right, which is a part of the anatomy, the gland system, the endocrine system, all right, the secretion of the testes is based upon the pineal, the pituitary. It's a direct correlation, which is the mind. No pituitary, no pineal, no secretion of the testes. No testosterone. It starts with the mind. Evidence. That's how you win a case. So the word testes, plural of testis, meaning male reproductive glands, originates from the Latin word testis, which originally meant witness. Wait a minute. Hold up now. Which originally meant witness. Now let's go back to Revelations, the 19th chapter and the 10th verse, and let's get that term testimony. Well, yeah, we can get that term. It might go into this. I think it goes into the same thing that I want. Which is materia, which we're going to get into that a little bit later. But we're going to touch back on it later, but I just wanted to get it. No, let me see. Office commit. No, no, it's not. That's not the word I wanted. We're gonna touch on that martyria, but no, what's that word I wanted? It's let me see, martyrdom. No, I always have trouble spelling this word actually. And then if you don't spell it right on the blue letter, it ain't gonna show up. You know what? Martyr is not. What word am I looking? It's, part of me. It's kind of. It's a specific word that I'm looking for. Ah, oh, goodness sake. Let me see here. Hold up. Give me a. No, I don't want to close that out. Let me see. Martyrdom. That's not in this. I definitely misspelled it that time. Martyrdom, right? I think it. I could be. Part of me. I'm kind of going off on the side mission right now, trying to find this specific word. And I'm gonna give me 1 second. Dang, it's not. No, I misspelled that. Pardon me. Let me see. I'm thinking it's the term martyr. Just give me 1 second. I know I'm doing a lot right now. Let's get that term. Matris. Oh yes, there
Strong's
we go.
G 3144.
See?
Martus. Martus.
Martros, which is a martyr, where the word martyr comes from, which means a witness. So that's that's the reason why I got that. That I went into that, which a martyr is a witness. So the true martyrs, the true martyrs are the witnesses of Yahweh, whether they be alive or dead. Those are martyrs. Well, like John, he wasn't slain, but he was a martyr. He was still a witness of Yahweh, but he wasn't killed. You know, but Peter was a martyr as well, but Peter was killed. Paul was a martyr, but he was killed. But being killed doesn't make you a martyr. It's a part of it. Oftentimes can be attributed to it based upon context, but in its finest essence, a martyr is a witness. That's what right here. Go back to the Greek, and you see the number. You know it's the spirit 144. Call the Lam Li Habashim Yahushai, because the elect. The 144,000 are the witnesses of Yahushua. Make no doubt about that. Ooh, one who is a spectator of anything. Wow. Let me see what this says. It says, in the ethical sense, those who, after his example, have proved the strength and genuineness of their faith in Mashiach by undergoing a violent death. So like I said, that's a context of what a martyr is too. But in its finest essence, it's a witness. All right. Pardon me for, how long that took, misspelling martyr and all that. Anyway, so it says, and is thought to be connected to the idea of the testicles as a sign of virility or proof of manhood. So the testicles are proof of manhood. Your testicular fortitude is the proof of your manhood. So you got a lot of guys, they walking around, they got testicles between their legs, pardon me, but they're really not men, you know, because they don't have the testicles of the heart. They don't have the testes of the heart, which is a fortified mind, a mind after Mashiach. And that's what we need to have in this thing of ours in order to survive, to serve Yahweh Bashim Shai properly. So I have an article right here. I'm going to grab that article. Okay. Right here. This is from TaylorMarshall.com. All right. Testimony and testicles, the oath of Abraham's servant. So testicles, and that shows you that the 144,000 and the true witnesses of Yahweh Shai are men, because to be honest, you have to have testicles to truly be a witness. That's why the scripture says, to you, O man, I call. All right? The Lord's, it's an order. So let's go right here to the highlighted section. It says the placing of one's hand under the thigh in a euphemistic way to refer to swearing upon the testicles of the master. Now, here we go. It says, because that's what they did in the ancient world. You would grab somebody's thigh when you make a pledge. All right. Anyway, it says, the testicles are the sign of Abraham's descendants. See? This is the significance of the testicles. This is the significance. It's this. I'm going to keep reading. It says, they literally contain the seed. The seed, the testicle contains the seed. It says that God had promised to bless in Genesis. You see the importance of the testicles? Do you see the importance of having a testicular mind? Having a mind after Abraham? Having a manly mind? It was Abraham's manly mind where he took Isaac up onto the mount of, I believe that was Moriah or Horeb. I have to go back to it. But he took Isaac up on the mount, all right? And when he took him up on that mount, he was going to sacrifice his own son. I believe that was Mount Moriah, if I'm not mistaken. That was Mount Moriah. But he was going, this Horeb was in the wilderness. Mount Moriah, that was in Jerusalem, if I'm not mistaken. Let me see. Let's look at Mount Moriah, Abraham. Yeah, that was Mount Moriah, I'm pretty sure. In the biblical story of Mount Moriah, God tests Abraham by commanding him to sacrifice his son Isaac on the mountain in the region of Moriah, see? Mount Moriah is the name of the hill in Jerusalem where, according to Hebrew Israelite tradition, Abraham was commanded to sacrifice his son Isaac, and where Solomon later built the first temple. It is identified with the Temple Mount because Isaac was that temple. Isaac was Solomon. Get you with that. Solomon was the reincarnation of Isaac. And Yahweh Shai is Solomon. Solomon is Yahweh Shai. Solomon is Yahweh Shai is Yatzak, which is Isaac. All right. So we went into that. We went into the article and we saw the importance of the testicles representing the seed of the promise. They represent the covenant. So let's get that in the scriptures. Let's go to Genesis chapter 15, verse 18. I'm going to go to the... It says, in the same day, Yahweh made a covenant with Abram. And this time it's Abraham, which is exalted father. That's before his name was changed to Abraham, which is Abraham, which means father of a multitude. It says, saying unto thy seed, which his seed comes from what? His testicles. It says, have I given this land from the river of Egypt, which is the Nile, unto the great river, the river Euphrates, the Canaanites and the Kenizzites and the Cadmonites and the Hittites and the Perizzites and the Rephaims and the Amorites and the Canaanites and the Girgasites and the Jebusites. Yeah, all those heathens. Because those heathens were ruling throughout the Levant. And it was ruling in the ancient land that you call Israel back 3,000 years ago. I mean, it was really like, at this time, like 4,000 years ago. We're talking about Abraham. But point being, they was ruling, and the Lord said he's going to give us that land, which he will when Yahweh returns. When Isaac returns. See? You know? Because Isaac is Yahweh. If you don't understand that, you do not understand this Bible. If you don't get that, this Bible is not going to make sense. The storyline is not, you might kind of get it, but you don't really get it. Genesis chapter 17, verse 18. Come on now. Genesis chapter 17, verse 18, it says, and Abraham said unto God, oh, that Ishmael might live before thee, because Abraham pleaded for Ishmael, which Ishmael is the forefather of a large portion of the Arabs. Especially in southern Arabia, those large portion are people descend from Ishmael. But this is what God said. Verse 19, and God said, Sarah thy wife shall bear thee a son indeed, and thou shalt call his name Isaac, and I will establish my covenant with him for an everlasting covenant, and with his seed after him. So the covenant wasn't made with Ishmael. The Arabs are not the chosen. The so-called blacks, Hispanics, Native Indians are the chosen through Isaac, which they come, and Isaac had Jacob. All right. Pardon me. Revelations 22:19. Let me just go. The book of Revelation, which this is the last book of the Bible, Revelation chapter 22, verse 19, and reads, it says, and if any man, goodness sake, we at the end of the Bible. Listen up. It says, and if any man shall take away from the words of the book of this prophecy, I think it was verse 16. Pardon me, it was verse 16. It says, I, Yahweh have sent my angel to testify unto you these things in the churches. See, Yahweh sent the angels. That's the testimony of Yahweh. The term angel simply means messenger. All right, and he's given the message of the testimony of Yahweh. All right, In the churches, which let's get that term testify. Let's just go and get in the Greek, which goes is a kin word of Mateo. Let me just go to it.
Strong's G
Martureo.
3140.
Let's
Martureo.
see what it says.
Martureo.
Okay. Yeah, Martureo, right? Which comes from Martos, right here. That's where it comes from. That's the root word. All right. It says to be a witness, to bear witness, to affirm that one has seen or heard or experienced something, or that he knows it because taught by divine revelation or inspiration. See? To bear record. Martireo. See? And so that's what it's going into. All right? And so that, because I was actually inspired to go into testosterone with this lesson, which I'm going to have to do another lesson on that. But it applies to the testimony, the term testimony, testes, testosterone. All right? Showing you that the testimony is based upon lineage. In order to be a witness of Yahweh Shai, you will have to be of the lineage of Abraham. Because only through Abraham's seed can only through Abraham's testes can the witness be bared. And testosterone, like I said, testosterone, all right, yeah, or the man's mental testosterone is paramount and very important in our office in this ministry. So that I'm going to give all praises, honor, glory, and worship to Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem Machakodash. Double honors and to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone. Citation